In this lesson, we'll practice creating colors using RGB values that are typical in computer format. So we have RGB right here, which means red, green, and blue. And in this example right here, what I have is I'm using the programming language of this Tech Math Instructor program to generate this rectangle. And it's actually more than just a single rectangle. It's actually a whole series of rectangles all of the same color. And I'll show you what I've done here. I've specified an x coordinate as negative 9.5 out here and a y coordinate of 1. I cleared the canvas, I drew a grid, I specify color 0, so this is color 0 down here, what I'll be using, and then I provide the components for color 0 as 255 for red, 0 for green, and 255 for blue. And you can see it gets set over here as these three colors. And so this combination of red, the full intensity of red at 255 and the full intensity of blue at 255 gives me this secondary color of magenta right here, and that's what I have on the screen. And what I've done is to generate it, I call method 2 40 times, and within method 2 I'm drawing this filled rectangle, which is just it has a unit of 1 in, so it's really just a little square, a bunch of squares, and you'll see it here in a second. And then after I draw the rectangle, I increment the x coordinate by 0.5 and I return to the routine, and it continues doing it until it executes method 2 40 times. So this is just draws magenta, so let's just try something different. Since I'm clearing the canvas each time, let's try it like this. Let's put in 255 for red, green, and blue and see what happens. And what we end up with is a whole series of white squares that make up the rectangle. Let's try it with green and blue at 255 and with no red, and we end up with cyan right there. And then let's try it, let's see, let's make blue 0 and we'll make red 255. We'll run that and it makes it yellow like this here, so that combination. So whatever these combinations of colors are of red, green, and blue is going to give you, it's going to generate this color that you're looking for, like this. Like I think orange is, there's always these various shades of orange. Like I think if I put maybe say 180 in here for green instead, well, I'll just put it up here actually, 180, and I'll rerun the program and it makes kind of an orange color. So but now so sometimes what you don't want to do is just use a solid code. We can use a range of colors within the program. And so what I'll do is I'll start with, say, red and green. I'll start at yellow for our primary color here. And then within method 2, there's a couple commands. You can say, I'll just start turning the red command off. Since I'm calling it 40 times, I'll say red minus, and let's say red minus 5. And I'll say blue plus 5. So what it does each time it comes through here, it'll take the existing red value, which is set at 255 when we start, and it's going to subtract 5 from that each time it comes through. So it'll subtract a total of like 200 from there, and it'll do the same with blue, except it'll take the blue, which is at 0, and it'll add 5 to it each time. And let's see what happens. And so what we do, we create this gradient. And it's going from, let me see, our final color is red is 55, green is 255, and blue is 200. And so you can see it's getting towards cyan but not quite, and it starts with yellow down here like this. And so by doing that you can create whatever range of colors you want, and you can experiment by knowing the colors in advance, and then that way you can draw all kinds of really cool things. And or you could even, if you have a couple of colors like said here, maybe I have, say in the canvas, I've set this as 2 colors, cyan and red, and then I can grab a gradient brush and paint, and you can see it's going to paint with cyan and red for a gradient like that. Or you could do it with a solid ellipse as well. I mean with a gradient ellipse, I mean, and you can get the same effect. And that gives you some nice shadow type effects. But so just by specifying R, G, and B values, you can generate all these great colors. And these are red, green, and blue would be the individual colors. Red of 255 and green of 0 and blue of 0. Blue would be all green and nothing else. And for cyan, it's green and blue. Yellow, it's red and green. And magenta is red and blue. And that's how we generate these secondary colors using this using computer format of RGB values. Okay, well that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson.